Hello everyone and welcome to Dearsley Goods Yard. In this video I will explain how I will run my goods train operations. The shunter and goods office start their shifts at 4 in the morning. The office sorts out all the goods train movements for the day ahead, while the shunter does his morning checks and fires up Dearsley's Class 8, ready for the day. He pulls away from the goods platform to position himself for the first goods train arrival of the day, the 5:15 general goods from King's Lynn. This will bring early morning parcels and newspapers and any empty wagons needed at Dearsley, Sheringham or Cromer. Here we will leave him to enjoy his first cuppa of the morning. I have an out and back shelf layout and fiddle yard, so I can't run continuous trains as enjoyed by many railway modellers. To add operating interest to my layout, I always thought I would run my passenger and goods services in a kind of realistic way. This involves commercial enterprise, timetables and a sense of Dearsley's place in the real world. And without boring you with the many early rejected timetables and ideas, I will begin by explaining the current goods operating plan. Dearsley is a fictitious town set in rural East Anglia during the 1960s. It lies a short distance inland from the North Norfolk coast. By the 1960s, much of the movement of goods has switched to road transport, and the threat of line closures outlined by Dr. Beeching hangs heavily over the entire rail system. Road improvements in East Anglia, however, have been slow compared with many other parts of the country, so there remains a small but important flow of goods by rail through Dearsley, at least for the time being. The nearest significant town is King's Lynn, and Dearsley plays a vital part in the distribution of imported goods from the docks to parts of East Anglia, including Norwich. The main industry is farming. Local farms grow cereal crops, sugar beet, fruit and vegetables. There is also a thriving fishing industry based in Sheringham and Cromer. In addition, the railway itself needs serving with materials, coal from the Nottingham coalfields and fuel oil from the northeast. All this commercial trade needs the right type of wagons in the right quantity to satisfy the needs of the railway and its customers. Now I have the industries to serve and the stock identified, I need to consider the big wide world, or at least the important towns that connect the visible part of my railway to the virtual world Dearsley operates in. In short, I'm going to need a map. There are two main routes to and from Dearsley. West to King's Lynn with rail links to the northeast, London and Nottingham, and east to Norwich, a direct route with links to Suffolk and Essex, and a coastal route via Holt, Sheringham and Cromer. These London Underground styled maps have been drawn up as a reference only. All locations involving passenger or goods operations to and from Dearsley will be referred to as the network. Practically, I need a way of locating my trains and wagons around the network. For this, I have made a set of pigeonholes that represents the goods destinations across the network. King's Lynn and further destinations, Norwich and further destinations, and Dearsley. In these pigeonholes will be the cards representing wagons and locomotives that will indicate their virtual positions on the railway. So that's the big picture. I will now move on to individual trains and individual consignments of goods. I want to know where they are and where they're going. To take care of this, I adopted a waybill system where a waybill is allocated to each goods wagon. I have loosely designed my waybills based on the old 5x4 labels that were stuck to the outside of goods wagons. Some of the design is purely cosmetic, there to add a sense of realism to the operations. The other fields carry more relevant operational information including a colour code. In order to represent the natural fluctuations in goods traffic, quiet days, busy days if you like, I have used dice. As just shown, I have colour coded each type of goods. Red, general mixed goods vans; blue, general mixed goods flats and open wagons; white, perishables, insulated fish vans; green, perishable fruit vans, meat vans, etc. Yellow, perishable open wagons, sugar beet, root vegetables, and black for coal wagons and fuel tankers. These colours relate to a matching coloured dice, and the number thrown relates to the numbers of that type to be made up into a goods train. However, the value can be made to represent different numbers of wagons. For example, if you had 12 coal wagons, you might decide to double your dice throw. But you could be more subtle than that. Here is my current assembly dice throws for goods trains from King's Lynn. Numbers are based on my current stock levels and the current maximum stock of wagons available from King's Lynn. So how does this all work in practice? Well, back in Dearsley's goods office at 4 AM, the goods trains for the day were being set up. I will show you the 5:15, but the others would be done in a similar manner. So first the dice throw. As only 10-ton general purpose vans are wanted, there is only the need to throw the red dice. Having thrown a red 2, I need to select 2 general purpose box vans from the cards in the pigeonholes. I've got them sorted by colour, so I'll just simply take 2 van waybills from there, and they are loaded of course to go to Dearsley, and I've also got to check for any empties, and I was expecting to have 2 fish vans, so they will also go to make up the train. In the real world, of course, my wagons and vans are stored in boxes or in the fiddle yard. I'm going to select 2 vans from the boxes to match up with my waybill cards. These 4 wagons, 2 loaded and 2 empty, now make up the first goods train of the day, a short one from King's Lynn to Dearsley. I have a locomotive card for the J11, and I can group these cards together to make the early morning train. Obviously all the goods trains for the day would be prepared in the same way and assembled in my fiddle yard. Meanwhile, back at Dearsley, the shunter is watching the 5:15 from King's Lynn pull into Dearsley. The incoming train will draw to a halt on the goods arrival track, which is also the station run-round loop. The train is then backed into a siding to uncouple the guards van. The goods operator guides the locomotive forward to decouple from the wagons. The shunter must now get to work, as the run-round loop needs to be cleared as soon as possible. The two loaded wagons are now in front and can be dropped off first in the goods platform siding. The general goods wagons are left at the beginning of the siding while he places the empty fish vans in the next siding, as they will shortly be collected for Sheringham and Cromer. The shunter then returns to the goods platform siding to place the general goods wagons where they can be unloaded. All he has to do now is return to the guard stand and place it close to the buffers. This operation was a simple one with few movements only. But at the end of it, the new stock in the yard is perfectly accounted for by the correct waybills in their correct pigeonholes. The shunter can return to the goods yard for a well-earned tea break. Before I finish this video, I'd like to show you my operating manual. Some of the things I've shown you that I've worked out on my computer, I keep a copy of it in my working file here, including the important working timetable. One thing I haven't mentioned is a clock. I did toy with the idea of running the operations in real time, which obviously was going to be a bit difficult to do, or even a speeded up time, as I know is mentioned by other railway modellers. In the end, I decided to forego the clock altogether and run purely on sequence. The actual time of my layout is determined by my position in this sequence. Something else I'd like to share with you is this new book I bought fairly recently. Well into the development, I have to say, of my waybill system and all that I've just shown you. But I bought it because it's intriguingly called Railway Modelling the Realistic Way. And certainly it covers all sorts of things like realistic scenery and track laying and everything like that. But of particular interest to me was the passenger and goods operating suggestions in here for realistic running and operation. The goods rolling stock in detail starts here, and it goes from page 280 all the way through to page 306. So 26 pages of detailed information regarding just goods wagons, and full of useful information about the various types. But more interestingly perhaps is there's another big section on operation. This is realistic operation suggestions for your model railway, and it goes from page 306 up to 340. So nearly 40 pages of information, including couplings and things, but all manner of suggestions for realistically operating shunting layouts and your model railways. I'm pleased to say that it uses a waybill system, and in fact there are aspects of the waybill system described in here which makes them a little more flexible than the way I've done mine, only slightly, but enough for me to seriously think about adapting mine slightly, just to take into account these suggestions in here. So I found this a great book. I haven't finished reading it all the way through, but I'd thoroughly recommend it from what I've read so far. It's called Railway Modelling the Realistic Way by Ian Rice. Well, that's about it really. I hope you found it interesting. I put all these details into this one video so that in future when I run a video on goods operations, I can refer back to this first video I've made for the detail, which will save a lot of repetition. Anyway, as I say, I hope you've enjoyed it, and thanks very much for watching.